Exactly. This season we have seen many a flawless history break and gone to vanish. Now, can BTG cause another upset and defeat CE on Infernal Shrines? Because let's not forget, guys, despite the little bit of a slump that CE found themselves in as of late, they're still the massive favorite. They're a former HGC China champion. In Phase 1, they look dominant, only to be bested by SBT last phase. And looks like also CE is following the mainstream here, banning away that Tassadar.
Will we see the mainstream continued with Ariel being banned? It's certainly being hovered, and there it goes.
Here we go. So nothing new in China as for now. Let's see if some of the teams, or one of the teams, can surprise us a little bit. And they go for that first pick. Malthael makes a lot of sense if you have a player like Paradise in your team.
Exactly. They want that percentage damage. They want that hero that Paradise excels on so much. So they're taking like the one hero that they have an insanely positive win rate, and in this case, it is the Malthael. The fact is, it's not really that counterable. The counters are Tyrael and Lucio at this point.
Yeah.
So either one of those or both could be picked. Question is, are BTG willing to overcommit to something like that straight away?
Yeah, you mentioned the sustained counters, right? The sound barrier coming in from Lucio, the sanctification. There's a couple of other heroes I think that you can still pick, like the Anubrak Cocoon or the Stitches Gorge. Like we saw that in the last game where Stitches Gorge the Genji, who was currently in Dragonblade form. So those are also heroes that could happen, but at the same time, if you go for the likes of Stitches, for example, if you don't have your Gorge available, you're suddenly being the one that gets countered because your high HP pull is going to cause you to take so much damage. Now, they go for something very standard, yet they rely a lot of armor, right, Tetcher? ETC has the self-armor, Uther's healing have a lot of armor, and Malthael doesn't really care about that.
Indeed, he completely ignores armor, so that begs the question, is this a solid choice, or is this potentially dangerous? We shall see. For now, though, they do still have a lot of lockdown, which even if armor is ignored, Malthael only has one way to deal with crowd control himself, and that is an ability which can make him unstoppable. But obviously that can't cleanse him when he is already stunned. He has to react before the ability hits.
Here we go. Now we're going to see what they're going to follow up on that Malthael. Uther normally is a very welcome tool to do so. Unfortunately was taken away by BTG. Now, there's a couple of other supports that pair off very well with the Malthael. The Rhaegar is still an excellent choice. I mean, Ancestral Healing is almost as good as a Divine Shield. Kharazim oftentimes can follow the Malthael into the thick of things and just drop a Golden Palm in the nick of time. But they go for the Double Angel. That would have been my next point, actually. If you go for Tyrael Malthael, you basically take away one of the greatest counters, as you just pointed out, Tetcher, from the enemy team. So that's already kind of cool. And also the Lunara. So now we're going to have a lot of damage over time against Uther, who is traditionally, you know, a single target burst healer, not an AoE sustained healer.
Yeah, those health bars are going to be very green. That's only going to get worse once Ana is released due to her auto attacks also poisoning, stacking up to 5 times. So that's going to be nice. We'll see how that works out and how green these health bars are going to be. For now, Rhaegar being hovered as the ban, very solid, like we already mentioned. Good burst healing. Ban as good as a Divine Shield in some scenarios, so that will be a very solid ban from BTG to deny that assistance to Malthael and, of course, to the Lunara.
Now, they're banning away the Vala because they realize, what does BTG still need in their comp? What could still be a little bit dangerous to us? Well, it could be a ranged assassin like Vala, who has been shown to be quite impactful still in China. Also keep in mind that the Reign of Vengeance is a great tool to keep Malthael at bay. Also the movement speed that Vala has at her disposal makes it fairly easy for her to kite the Malthael. So just taking away a very mobile team fighting assassin makes a lot of sense.
With the other option here, like the main assassin option being Greymane, removing the Valor out the way forces the Greymane, which is more likely, at least, to be inside the Tormented Souls. It's likely to be near ETC and Uther, and of course, it's more likely to get countered harder by the Sanctification.
So what is left now for Beyond the Game to choose? Well, there's a couple of mages available. I wouldn't actually hate to see a Chromie or a Kel'Thas even on Infernal Shrines. They bring a lot of shrine control to the table with the Slowing Sands, the Long Distance Poke, or the Flame Strikes. But as you said, the Greymane is just a very reliable choice overall. And we see the Lucio as well. You pointed out the Lucio in the beginning. Can you tell us why you think he's such a good call against Malthael in particular?
Because R beats R in a lot of cases in Heroes of the Storm, and in this case, one of the two big counters right now to that Tormented Souls are Sanctification to just remove the damage, timing it right, and the Sound Barrier. It does decay, but it still absorbs a huge amount of that percentage damage, and can give you a large amount of extra sustain to survive a team fight, as opposed to Malthael just deleting you a bit earlier on. So it is very much a hit reaction, and you have to basically save Sound Barrier for just Tormented Souls to get the maximum value out of it. But if you can time it well, it can give you huge value. And of course, if not, extra speed on an ETC and a Greymane and an Uther is pretty lovely. And of course, just healing AoE, good against Lunara.
The thing is now, the way BTG has designed this draft, if you will, these supports, they protect each other very nicely. Even if Tyrael were to go for something like a Judgment in order to blow him up very quickly, because Lucio is one of the most fragile supports out there, Uther could still have his back, you know? He could still drop a Divine Shield or a Cleanse if he decides to go for the level 7 talent. So these supports, they complement each other very well. Now, on the flip side, we see a Stukov locked in last combined with a Zarya. So Tetra, I don't want to call things before they're actually being decided, but this reminds me of some of the highly unsuccessful drafts that CE had in the past with no CC, no lockdown at all. They go for shields and survivability exclusively.
They do have a silence.
That is true.
To be fair. And they do have Expulsion Zone, which is sort of CC. Other than that, it is very much just purely slows. That's it. They could Judgment, but it's a really bad idea when they have Malthael, who they need to keep protected.
Yeah.
Overall, their damage output is great. Their protection is sublime. But once again, like you said, they have very little CC, and until late game, they have no cleanse.
They have no cleanse.
Field, and they can get the natural cleanse, which I can't remember the name of, on Lunara. So they can get like 2 pseudo cleanses, but that's level 16 and 20.
Oh yeah, Abolish Magic comes in way too late. Exactly. So, do you agree with me saying that CE has a little bit of a weaker draft, or do you think it's the opposite?
I think their draft is stronger.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to be able to control the map a lot better. The team fight should just sustain. All they have to do is to survive the CC, and the fact is, if ETC does dive in and doesn't execute a kill instantly, there's a good chance he could get blown up, especially if Malthael actually went for a single target damage build. Still with Tormented Souls, as we have seen in the past, potentially, just to blow up ETC after he all-ins.
And we all saw how powerful the Zarya was yesterday when Roll20 just marched through Galeforce Esports base and got a new HGC record. But we're gonna find out who's got the strongest draft in a bit here in the first game between Beyond the Game and CE. Stay tuned. Alright, we have a game and a series at our hands, guys, with BTG on the left-hand side in the blues and A on the Uther, 619 on ETC, ZJZ plays Sonya, MJ on the, Lucio, excuse me, and ST on the Greymane.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it is Challenge, with Aloofal on Stukov, Wind on Tyrael, KTY on Zarya, Paradise on Malthael, and Zuyu is playing the Lunara. They are very melee, and they have very little CC or cleanse against a potential mosh pit. This could go disastrous, or it could be really good. For now, we will have a look at the level 1 talents. Feel the heat for Zarya. She wants to get stuck in there as a decent front line, as a good distraction. And it's the ranged auto attack for Stukov, who immediately has to drop the sides as KTY is getting focused. Down he goes. That is first blood. Immediately going over to BTG. Very nearly a counter kill onto ST though, but the Lucio healing will keep him alive.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, I haven't even thought about the lack of counters to that ETC mosh pit on the side of CE, but you're totally right. The only reliable counter they have is Stukov, and that needs to be channeled in time, basically, without himself getting trapped inside. Now, you mentioned the level 1 talent for Stukov. I think it's the Fetid Touch, which is the quest talent for his W. So the slows...
Oh, yeah, it's not the auto attack range.
Yeah. So basically, it's going to have a lower cooldown, the slows that is, and a less mana cost. Actually, it gets removed upon fully stacked, so kind of nice.
Indeed. So, we are seeing little bits of poke here and there. A takes some poison damage, but for now, able to stay quite healthy, even though Kazu does not yet have Splintered Spear, and therefore his damage is not going to get out of control, at least early on.
So, kind of cool to see that Zarya once again went for the whatchamacallit, the level 1.
Feel the heat.
Feel the heat, exactly. Which is basically the same build that Roll20 Esports loved to run yesterday. And Feel the Heat, of course, guys, it is a fantastic auto attack talent if enemies are close to you. Not just enemy heroes, but enemy structures, minions, and mercenaries in general. I think they have to be in the first 50% of her laser beam, and they're going to take additional double the damage, actually. And that's just insanely powerful if you stack up your energy very nicely, which shouldn't be too hard. You know, there's a couple of abilities like the Greymane cocktails that can actually trigger the shields, and it's so hard to sometimes just ignore the Zarya shields when you have that consistent damage. So really interested in seeing the overall impact of Zarya in particular.
Completely agreed. We'll be interested to keep an eye on that and see how well it does. For now, we do see Zarya already starting on the objective. BTG a little bit slow to rotate here. As they do finally move up, though, we see that reduced whirlwind cooldown on Sonya. Cocktails still coming in a little, even with the level 1 in a beast talent coming in for Greymane.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense for Sonya to go for that Hurricane, because as we said earlier, there's not a lot of stuns, there's not a lot of silences available to interrupt her from spinning, but already CE is positioning themselves and posturing up very nicely, shutting down the choke point and annihilating anyone that tries to pass through. NJ falls, and ETC now also in trouble. The return kill, no, the Zarya shields are good enough.
Yeah, that shield onto Wind, keeping him alive. The poison is so much. Those green health bars are just ticking down. And either way, we're going to see CE taking this first Punisher of the game along with 2 kills.
Wow, I did not expect this early fight to go that well for CE. However, keep track of the overall XP. Despite losing heroes, BTG did not lose a lot of XP overall because they managed to get back in lanes in time. CE actually used their entire team to shut down the shrine entirely. As such, they couldn't really soak elsewhere. So, pretty sure that's going to change slightly, though, with those first 2 towers that are probably going to fall. KTY actually needs to get a little bit closer. There we go. Makes, like, this Feel the Heat does not work on the buildings just yet. So, you always have to find a good balance between exposing yourself in order to get additional damage done and staying safe, otherwise you might get initiated on by the ETC and fall victim.
And Zarya has actually gone for defensive shielding, basically getting block stacks after the shield expires. So this will help a little bit against Greymane and Sonya as the game continues. So a little bit of self-protection there, allowing her to frontline a little bit more.
That's a big commitment, by the way, Tetra. I consider Speed Barrier the normal standard go-to, which basically gives a massive 50% movement speed on the target, to be one of the most impactful talents in the game. But Sonya, or KTY, seems to have a pretty good battle plan when it comes to that personal shielding. There we go. We see her, or KTY, moving in very aggressively. He's a lot more resilient rather than if he had gone for the Speed Barrier. And the grenades are starting to hit hard. Full energy level now for KTY on the Zarya.
He's got the damage going for the AoE damage later, which will seriously help on the shrines as well. For now, just dropping damage while he has that high energy output. Beautiful silence on Greymane. The Splintered Spear! He's dropping low. Lucio keeping the healing up, though.
One grenade.
Survive.
One grenade earlier. Oh, he would have had the right angle, but Greymane was teleporting home too soon.
Wind survives. KTY positioning himself so that his AoE shield explosion does actually affect the tower there, so it gets a little bit of extra damage done there. Next objective will be spawning soon, so KTY continuing to play a little bit far forward, trying to drop as much damage onto these structures so they can try and get the kills on them and get themselves closer to level 10 before the next objective spawns.
Hey, I've never seen this Zarya build in my life, and I play a lot of Zarya, and I followed her a lot in HGC, but the explosive barrier plus the block at level 4, I'm really excited to see how impactful that build is going to prove to be over the course of time.
I've seen all of these talents individually, just never together. This is very much the I am right in the middle, in which case wouldn't I am the strongest woman in the world have fitted better? Just extra shielding in general to block the spear, block the cocktail maybe. Yeah. Instead, just going for the block stacks. So either way, this is very much a frontline Zarya build. She is acting as a big old frontline who just stands there like a bulwark.
Exactly, and keep in mind that I think we need to take some time. Now ETC going in with a nice triple stun here. Can they follow up? Now it doesn't look like it. Tyrael is too slippery. All that healing from Stukov is massive.
Yeah, not even fully stacked on vigorous reuptake yet as they push forward. There goes the first kill. That is going to be Sonya who... Oh! Ticking! Sonya lives barely. Very barely. He will not be so lucky though. He gets taken out. That's 3 kills going over to CE. But they do lose Tyrael in the process. Shield expires, so KTY will back up. It looked like the grenade actually sniped the Ufa Ghost there, but it did just expire at the same time as level 10 is hit for challenge.
But still, that was so much worth it, Tetcher. A 3-for-1 trade, fantastically done, and more importantly, the level 10s now being unlocked as well. And if they clean the shrine in time, they might even have the benefit of pushing with an Arcane Punisher, while the enemy team is still desperately trying to get that level 10 themselves. So, time is of the essence right now. They really need to clear this as fast as possible. They do so right now, but I think Beyond the Game has enough time to find her rig abilities for themselves. Now, isn't it crazy how much poke CE brought to the table here with those hard-hitting Zarya grenades, the Lunara? Oh, look at that beautiful shielding as well. Absorbing a couple of damage, draining the ammo away from the fort as well, and charging up Zarya. That was just well done.
It was very well done indeed. Heroics are now available though for BTG, so they can be back and try and defend, because the Punisher, look at that, hasn't taken a single bit of damage. They can just keep going with this. They have Sank, they have Expulsion, they have literally everything. So they can go in here, ETC, not picking his heroic. There we go, Mosh Pit, as if there was ever a doubt, as he is preparing to potentially try and defend this. Decent silence, not with the extra radius here, so he just have to, Alufal has to make sure he is positioned correctly. They take down one tower, but it doesn't look like they want to risk going any further, even with all those heroics available.
With 13 getting so much closer to C already, I really like the decision of them not going for an all-in aggression play, because let's face it, they have a very protective reactionary comp. They can basically thwart any sort of initiation that BTG could go for with a flailing swipe, with the sanctification, the expulsion zone. They do not want to be the guys who posture up aggressively, who initiate the teamfight. They want to wait for BTG to make the move and then retaliate heavily.
Yes, they do. Zuyu take the cocktail, but he took the primary hit, so therefore it didn't do too much damage, and KTY was did have a shield up. The expulsion zone is good, splitting the team a bit, but 619 is doing a pretty good job of staying alive for the moment. Here comes the Tormented Souls. Mosh Pit is denied. Sanctification beautifully done by Wind, and that poison is starting to tick up. Look at the health on CE. They're pretty healthy. The shield keeping Paradise healthy, and down goes ZJZ. That is the first kill of this fight, and as much as BTG are trying, they may at least get Tyrael. But guess what? He's chasing down speed boost from Lucio. Tower shot, minion arrow kills off Greymane as Paradise keeps going forward, continuing the poison pressure. ETC with some good CC trying to deal with KTY, but the shield is too much. It is 2 kills to 1 in favor of CE.
What a battle here. I gotta give massive kudos to BTG for salvaging this fight relatively well, despite the fact it started off so terribly for them. That Sonya with a last second Divine Shield and the Tyrael, oh my goodness, that was really, really cool to see. But once again, massive respect also to CE, who make their work, who make their team comp work like a charm. All they have available is so much disengage, but they make use of it perfectly. Beautiful synergy between the 2 angels in the team as well. That sanctification combined with the Malthael Tormented Souls was just top-notch on spot.
Yes, it was super well played so far. Like you said, the sanctification was beautiful as they do hit level 13 first, and they're in position to start another shrine. And they're going to be doing that. BTG going to try and get some value elsewhere on the map by pushing in the bot lane. Zarya is holding her level 13 talent. What could she be holding this for?
She could go for the Pain is Temporary, which is basically an activatable shield. It consumes all of your energy, but gives you a shield in return, which then again restores your energy if you keep getting hit. So I think she might try to hold on to that, only to use it in a team fight.
Yeah. Might take spell barrier, meaning that she gets block and spell armor charges.
Could happen. I mean, there is a little bit of ability damage from Sonya available from the Greymane cocktails. It's Pain is Temporary. Makes a lot of sense. So Tetcher, something I want to touch upon here real quickly is the late game healing potential for BTG. Once Uther gains access to the Benediction, once Lucio gains access to the Revenucenza, I just have to butcher this word every single time because I don't speak Portuguese, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, there's a lot of late game healing power available for BTG that could really help them out. Now Alufal, oh my goodness,
Flailing Strike to the rescue, keeping him out of danger. Nicely done. It is
and the proc work too. The proc work too. Additional AoE healing.
Ah, yeah, nice. So yeah, even more sustain as the Punisher joins the team. Stukov takes the long way round, making sure he doesn't get killed. There's still a mercenary camp putting pressure onto bot lane. Not as much as this Punisher, though. Frozen Punisher moving in will easily kill off the fort, and if they want to, they can try and go further. It is 13 versus 13, though.
Yeah, look at KTY constantly soaking up the save damage from those towers. It is safe to do so when you have vision on the enemy team. And even if he were to get caught, there would still be enough protection by Stukov in the process. So very nice to get this easy energy, this free energy. And look at all that poke. Lunara, Malthael, the grenades are pounding and hammering through.
Was that Divine? No, it wasn't Divine Shield. It was a quest activating, but because he was behind ETC, I thought he got Divine Shield, and I was like, that was not necessary. So thank God. Vigorous reuptake is now fully stacked. Wind putting some pressure on. He does not have Holy Ground, but he's making it seem like he does. Yep. So you getting some Splinter Spear, but has to back up. Too much damage.
So much damage.
Taking all of that Malthael pressure. Sonya's in the back line, causing a little bit of mayhem. Mosh Pit, this time's good. Divine Shield. And once again, though, the Sank gets Zarya out of it. She continues to drop the damage. Malthael is almost completely uncontested in the backline. Finally getting focused. Big forced retreat. Beautiful shield. And it's enough to back up, but they've been able to kill off the Lunara. And somehow ZJZ still alive. Finally getting killed off by Paradise. The silence is perfect, but not enough. Down goes Greymane. 2 for 2 right now. As the fight continues, KTY hit the heroes. Gets stunned
Pain is temporary.
Yes, he does. Big shield coming out here.
Wow.
Keeping him alive. And they're able to force back BTG.
Tetra, that was an absolute bloodbath. Both teams fighting to the bone. And however, you have to give a lot of props to BTG once again. They were a talent down towards the end of the fight, and yet they held their ground. And it didn't really start too well, I thought, for BTG. I was not really sure about using that Divine Shield on ETC, who only trapped one person in the mosh pit. And normally when you only have a one-man mosh pit, it's not too good of a mosh to even reinforce it with a Divine Shield. But it still ended up very nicely for them. I think the major reason for them actually doing well in that teamfight was Sonya, who completely dismantled the backline of CE.
Very true. Sonya's pressure on Lunara was absolutely perfect, so good job there. And unfortunately, Zarya was not able to protect her. She did not take the cleansing shield, by the way. She went for gain train, all aboard. But unfortunately, not everyone was grouped up enough, so Lunara was not able to benefit from the benefits, I messed up that sentence, of that ability. Stukov, by the way, at level 16, has gone for Universal Carrier. Interesting talent. It basically means that he heals forever, but he heals less.
Exactly. Very cool to see. Now, look at those bouncy, green bouncy little goo balls. They just won't stop spreading as long as Stukov is nearby.
Won't stop. Yeah, basically it means that his healing will always bounce as long as it at least travels through Stukov to the back. So as long as he stays near an ally with an activated heal on them, he will always be healing. You can see he's let it drop down here, but that is because the Q actually does heal more still with activation, as it normally would. And after this, all he has to do is to stay near at least one ally, and it will always bounce back to him, as you're seeing here. So
cool.
See the consistent healing.
So cool. I wonder how long they can keep up this this infinite value from the goo balls.
As we see Alufal bouncing back and forth into the back line. Not near enough to Alufal to get the healing currently. There we go, gets it dropped. Wind into the backline. Once again, certification still available for him. Expulsion Zone use, trying to split the team. All it really does, though, is force Sonya to remount up and grab the Fountain, which is actually still available here. Yeah,
the Fountain is still available, and that keeps BTG in the fight here. The ability to rejuvenate and replenish your lost health is so important. Now, ETC is trying to go for that big play. The shields are good, though, and the Holy Ground keeps their opponents at bay. CE is looking very strong, having a nice lead in terms of skeletons overall, 28-18.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job controlling this choke point. Stun onto Tyrael, who once again tanks through, holding the Sank. Moves in, there's the Sank. And the Tormented Souls at the same time here. Healing reduction was good as we see Sonya drop down, gets silenced. They're trying to finish her off and gets taken down. Wind may fall as well if a cocktail lands, but it does not. EDC moving in, gets the mosh pit. Explosion Zone's back off cooldown and is able to deny the mosh pit as ETC gets focused here. He is able to escape, actually. He managing to get away from Malthael, and so will everyone else. Only Sonya dies.
Wow, that was a last-second save on most of those BTG members, but still, they didn't even touch the health bars of CE, it seemed. You can really see how the Sanctification was used as a counter to the sound barrier. Well, if your team, or the enemy team is invulnerable for a short period of time, we're going to use our own Sanctification and keep everybody safe and sound. And especially the Malthael synergy with that Tyrael has been absolutely stellar. I gotta give major props to CE, and I feel like a fool for doubting their team comp, which works like a well-oiled machine at this point.
They are doing very well with it, even without any of the cleansers, even without that cleansing shield. They're just out-sustaining. The damage output from BTG is not enough. Then even hold the objective for just a little bit so that they can get a Fallen Shaman to come with it. They could have actually delayed a little bit more, so that the Shaman could have actually would have been caught up with the Punisher. As such, it's going to be quite a bit behind. But either way, they're still able to push in with a Punisher. Both teams have level 16 though. Let's see if it's going to make the difference.
And now you need to be really careful on where you bait the Punisher over the wall, because the Holy Ground can lock you in a prison of holy light. Now, almost worked. Wind trying to go for those cheeky plays. And he locks in two now! The Punisher helping out as well. Sonya escaping at the nick of time. And this could be a big play for CE. The keep is very exposed, Tetcher.
It really is, and the issue is anything that would actually support the keep here is for anyone who tries to move in. Both of these areas through the tower and the fountain are choke points for the expulsion zone or the holy ground. And right now, EDC coming in, looking to potentially make a last-ditch effort, but Moshpit isn't ready, like you said. CE just continue to put pressure on it. It's going to take a minor poke to take down this keep. Forward Vine, that's enough, and that keep will drop.
Man, Zarya sitting on full energy all day, every day. So much poke, hitting the shields, the explosion, keeping them safe and sound for now. And keep in mind that the ulti, help me out here. What was it? The Thornwood Vines, there we go, from Lunara. Poked down the keep so well. I mean, they had all the time in the world using the Zarya grenade, the Lunara poke. There was just nothing that BTG could do. They were trying to engage hard, they were trying to save that keep, but with the Mosh Pit still being on cooldown, there was just so little they could do.
Nice holy ground there, by the way, right at the end. Could have used it to deal with the Greymane, who was actually putting on the majority of the pressure, but realized we don't see ETC. If he's coming from anywhere, it will be from the shortest route, which will be through those vents. So I'm just going to block off that route, and he did exactly that. ETC saw it, turned around, and went back the other way.
We see the arena coming in here at level 20 for Turiel, causing everyone to deal more damage at level 20 as long as they stand in the Sanctification's radius. Super cool to see. Malthael, the instant respawn, and the unyielding defender for the Zarya at level 20, allowing her to refresh the cooldown of both of her shields immediately. So cool to see. And of course the improved flailing swipe here as well for Stukov. So now he has a much more precise timing at landing those swipes.
Galloping Gate for Zuyu for the sake of safety. Does not want to die. So, that is very cool here. We are seeing 619. He did not use Mosh Pit in that last defense, so it is available now as he eats all the poison.
Yeah, look at that Starwood Spear 16 talent. It's so good. Whenever you have it available, you can poke from maximum distance, even outranging keeps at points. It's so good. It's so nice. And they just can't handle the... But Lucio also has the level 20 nearby. He could go for the bonus track, allowing him to have 2 instances of a Mighty Amp It Up for the healing. That could actually turn the tides, I think. Having this increased healing could really allow BTG to go for more aggressive plays without getting poked down previously.
Very true, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lucio going for Bosa Nova, just making sure that they get a little bit more protection.
Lower cooldown is so important.
Very much so. The extra shielding, but it does tick further, which means it might actually not outlast. We do see not the Bosa Nova.
Yeah, that's the bonus track. We see Redemption coming in from Uther as well. He can play much more aggressively right now. Ignore Pain for Sonya. All the tools are now unlocked. BTG just needs to use them. Sonya going and dealing a lot of damage already. Paradise about to fall.
Paradise gets shielded, controlled chaos, giving him a chance here. And this is the issue. Stukov, with his permanent healing, doesn't heal as much anymore. Zuyu! Controlled chaos, still keeping him alive. Now it's KTY in danger. Lufel dropping the heals.
Oh boy.
You can see it's not as significant right now. He may have to use the bio kill switch there, but they all stay alive. They only need one. And as such, look at this. BTG, they're just going to set a trap.
One grenade, one Thornwood Vine is all they need in order to clear that last skeleton. KTY is posturing up, and there it goes.
Come on, hit it. There we go. KTY may have wouldn't actually put himself in a little bit of danger here. Here comes the BTG from the side. They want to try and make the play. They see the Tormented Souls already being used here. There is that beautiful sound barrier, this time blocking so much damage.
Yeah.
And now the CE are regrouped up. Sanctification just came off cooldown. So now they are ready to fight this, while the Punisher is just pushing it.
Zuyu, you need to be careful, friend. That Zonya hits like a truck. It actually takes the truck, puts it in both hands, and slams it on your head. Crazy stuff coming in here. Now, keep in mind, the Punisher actually dealt some significant damage to the bottom lane. They're actually coming in here as well, absorbing the shots with the Zarya shield. The Punisher actually doesn't care. It smashes the core right away.
Yep, Punisher heads in, as we do see now CE trying to fight at the gate here. Controlled Chaos is isolating DTC, and he gets taken out with only 6 seconds left on that mosh pit. And he is no longer available for this defense. But they have no minions here, at least for a moment, so it's going to take a little bit of a delay. Punisher's back, that'll take a few shots. ZJ just backs up, dragging that away so that it will be at least CE tanking the shots from the keep. But now with the keep down, that is not an issue. Punisher's taking down the shield, 90% on the core. CE looking to end the game while ETC is gone here. There is still the chance.
For
it's
the core.
only a 4v5. It's not the worst. Controlled Chaos, buying time, but everyone's grouped up. Sonya getting the value, but the damage is so high. Like you said, GG.
GG in favor of CE. And I had my doubts during the draft when I saw that lineup, but boy, did they prove me wrong. And I'm super glad they did, because that was probably one of the coolest team comps to watch in a long period of time. The amount of precision they used to execute it well was astounding. Whenever the Lucio sound barrier was dropped, they disengaged, waited for the shields to fade off, only to re-engage and poke down harder than before. That was so well played by CE, and that really shows why they're considered to be one of the strongest teams in China, and why they got so far in the last Eastern Clash, almost taking down MVP Black in a series, taking off maps from those teams. Super solid. I'm very happy that we saw a good CE stepping up today, and not a wonky CE that oftentimes gave away the first game in the previous season, or in the current season, just by drafting mistakes and error. I'm really, really happy they made it work.
As am I. Well done. Coming in from CE, they take game number 1. Now is the question, are they going to once again drop to the 1-1 curse? Or will we see them finally take that 2-0 and move closer to that position at BlizzCon and closer to SPT?
Yep. SPT have yet to play. If they fall victim to the 1, if they play 1-1, or maybe even if they lose 0-2, all of a sudden the race for top spot here in China has become a lot more interesting. I don't think that's going to happen, though, because SPT is just on another level right now. They are just so good.